Sup? Yeah, another video time now, because I said so. You're gonna watch it? You better, yeah. Yeah, we're counting down Spider-Man movies from worst to best. At worst, I gotta go with The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Pretty bad, I mean, I think people give it more hate than it deserves, just because it's a bad movie, but, it's not that bad. And Andrew Garfield isn't that bad. He's worse than every other Spider-Man, but he's not that bad. And then, yeah, that's a bad movie. And then the next bad movie has to be Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Now, I know plenty of people love this movie, and there's going to be a lot of people who are like, what? No, it's a pretty good movie, but I disagree. I think Miles Morales, not a good Spider-Man. The position of one Spider-Man learning from another, no. The thing that works with all of the other Spider-Man movies is that they're learning on their own. They just got their own powers. They're learning what they can do. And the Spider-Verse movies take a different picture on that, and it just doesn't work. And then, all the other Spider-Men within that movie really have one personality trait. There's the pig, who's goofy. There's the girl, who's the girl. There's the anime girl, who's all, like, cutesy. There's the dark guy, who's just dark and brooding. They have one personality trait and nothing more interesting about them. They just said, hey, let's take a Spider-Man, stick one personality trait, and boom, we got a new character for this movie. No, that's not that interesting. And the soundtrack's overrated. Like, Sunflower's not even that good. Like, why are people like, oh my god, this has the best soundtrack of any movie ever? No, you know what movie has a good soundtrack? Spider-Man 3, with the Drive That Funky Soul dance scene. Everyone knows that. That's the song you listen to. That's the song you're walking down the street you listen to. Alright, moving on. Next worst movie has to be The Amazing Spider-Man 1. It's a pretty good movie, I mean, bad in Spider-Man terms, but, like, as a standalone movie, when you want to look at it, it's alright, Definitely better than the sequel. Andrew Garfield, once again, still a mediocre Spider-Man. I do like some of the things they did better. Like, they took more of a dark and brooding aspect, and while that's a unique take on it, I don't think it works as well as the light humor ones that the original trilogy has and the MCU Spider-Man have. And not to mention that with their dark and brooding aspect, half the fight scenes are too dark to see. Like, he'll be in an alleyway fighting some guys, you can't even tell what's happening. It's just all these shadow figures moving. It doesn't work that well. And then next up would probably have to be Spider-Man Homecoming. This was a really good movie. It's only this low because all the other Spider-Man movies are really, really good. That's the only reason it's this low on the list. It's a good movie. It has Iron Man in it. Who doesn't like Iron Man? Iron Man's the best. Other than, like Doctor Strange. But whatever. Yeah, it's a good movie. But the Vulture's an alright villain, I think almost every other villain is a better villain, because Vulture, he doesn't really have anything unique about him. But the fact that he was, Peter Parker's love interest's father was a really good move on that part. Don't even remember her name, she's not important anymore. But next up would have to be the first Spider-Man, Spider-Man 1 in the original trilogy. This is how you do a Spider-Man movie, alright? Problem with Spider-Man Homecoming, we didn't see Peter get bit by the spider. Yes, we already saw it in, like, almost every other iteration, but we still want to see it. It's a key part of the movie. We don't even see Uncle Ben, and while I do personally think that the Uncle Ben part isn't that big of a deal, because Tony Stark is most certainly a better villain than Uncle Ben, and then how Peter has to deal with the loss of Tony Stark in Spider-Man Far From Home, similar to how both Andrew Garfield Spider-Man and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man had to deal with the loss of that in their first movies, works really well. But, one thing that sets Spider-Man 1 above Spider-Man Homecoming is the memes, man. I missed the part where that's my problem. All of J. Jonah Jameson's scenes, they're amazing, And one thing, they have the iconic upside-down kiss with MJ of, him being upside down, kissing her. After that has to be Spider-Man Far From Home. Now, problems here. Mysterio, good villain. They shouldn't have made him a twist villain. He was evil in the comics. Anyone who didn't know anything about the comics could tell he was going to be evil. So, they really only got 12 people with that twist there. Not obvious at all. I think one thing that would have been better is just have him be evil from the beginning, and then Spider-Man has to fight him. That just would have been better. And then they went all around the world, that's pretty good. They went different places. I mean, they did some cliche fights and stuff, but whatever. Next has to be Spider-Man 2 from the original trilogy. Amazing. Doc Ock is so good. All right? My only complaint about Doc Ock is that he just kind of has the same backstory as Green Goblin. Green Goblin in the first movie, really good villain. But, they all have too many Spider-Man villains are just simple, good people who were scientists who performed an experiment on themselves, and then that experiment made them turn evil. All right? William Dafoe, as Green Goblin, was not evil until he injected that stuff in himself, and then he became evil. Doc Ock wasn't evil until he put his octopus tentacles on. So, there's too many of the same backstory, but that's not just a problem with Doc Ock individually. But Doc Ock, I do think, was better than Green Goblin, though. He had a better personality, and I like how at the end he still killed himself, but he did it on purpose, became good, and, tried stopping the machine he built. I think that was a good way of doing it. All right, in first place, you probably expecting this because it's the best. Who doesn't think it's the best? Everyone in the world thinks it's the best Spider-Man movie. Spider-Man 3 from the original trilogy. We got Bully Maguire. Bully Maguire, greatest meme in history. He has the dance. He has the I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye. He has your picture's a fake, Brock. You're a fraud. So many amazing scenes here. Slap job, double the money. Countless memes. They're amazing. Perfect. It's just such a good movie. And most people think that the aspect of 3 villains was too many. I disagree because they fit each one in really well with how Sandman was really the main villain. And then Harry being Green Goblin again, he wasn't a villain for like half the movie because, he eventually turns good, so you can't even really count him a villain. So it went from being a 3-on-1 to a 2-on-2, and that was just a really good aspect. And then how Harry sacrificed himself in the end, that was also really good. And then Venom, or the symbiote, that was also really great too. He's the one that made Peter Parker into Bully Maguire for the greatest memes ever, and all those scenes are amazing. And then how he beats him with the pipes, that's another really good one. Yeah, best movie, Spider-Man movie. And then I suppose that if you want to count the Venom movies as Spider-Man movies, the Venom would probably be like better than Spider-Man Homecoming, but like worse than Spider-Man 2 from the original trilogy. And then Venom Let There Be Carnage would just be somewhere below that. Venom Let There Be Carnage, mediocre, kind of okay. All right, bye.